Hello, my name's Tom. Welcome to my apartment on New York City's Upper West Side. A little bit about myself. I'm a retired flight attendant and flew for close to 40 years before I retired, and this is my retirement apartment. I've lived here for about 27 years, so it's been a long journey to get it to this point. And through the years, I've worked with a couple of designers to take some of the ideas I had and then implemented them and worked with me with the building permits and everything else. So it's been a journey, and here we are today in my front entryway. One of the things that I like about this apartment is I have an actual entryway or foyer. It kind of gives a little breathing space to greet guests and get acclimated to go in or out or just arrange yourself a little bit. We put a stool here to facilitate taking shoes on and off. And one of the banes of existence for a New York City person is lack of storage. So I'm very blessed to have a big closet that we customized. I'll give you a quick glance of it, but plenty of space for shoes and clothes and various things like that. And it's nice to have it right off the doorway for shoe storage and greeting guests and hanging coats and all that. This particular piece, I grew up on a farm in Michigan, and this is an old washstand from the Michigan farm home that I grew up in. And it's a perfect little mix of styles, I think. My main style is mid-century modern. I like things modern. However, this is a nice reminder of my childhood and my family. Okay, while we're in the entryway and talking about storage, one of the things that I lost when I renovated the kitchen was a broom closet. So there were two purposes in building this storage unit. It matches the kitchen, as you'll see in a moment, and it's also on gliders, and so it covers the circuit breaker box. And it's also additional storage for cleaning supplies and brooms and all the utilitarian things that a broom closet would normally hold. So that's pretty much my entryway. Right off of the entryway is my kitchen. When I originally bought this apartment, it was in its original shape. It hadn't been touched since the early 60s when the building was built. So this has been a labor of love and utility. One thing that I'm very blessed with is I have a lot of good storage in this apartment. Plenty of cupboard space. We took the cupboards all the way up to the ceiling, and plenty of room for cooking utensils, pots and pans, a marble countertop. When I was working with the designer, we found out that you have to buy marble by the slab. We were able to get a remnant of a big slab of marble and got it for a much more reasonable price. So that was one of the nice things that I was able to upgrade in the kitchen and save a little money on at the same time. One of the things I mentioned earlier was the broom closet I gave up, and we replaced it with a pull-out pantry unit, which also gives me additional storage and makes the kitchen actually pretty full function for a small space. And I especially like the fact that I have full-size appliances, and it makes entertaining and cooking easier and makes day-to-day living in New York just a little less stressful.
We're going to take a quick break from the tour to talk about today's sponsor, Monarch. I've always felt that organizing our finances should be as intentional as organizing our home. But when your accounts are scattered across different apps, it's hard to find that clarity. I recently started using Monarch because it brings everything into one clean, private dashboard. It's the first time I've been able to see our entire financial picture in one place. A feature I found incredibly helpful is how it handles recurring charges. Monarch automatically identifies those subscriptions and uses AI-powered insights to flag unusual transactions or price increases before they become a problem. Having that level of visibility without the manual labor of looking through bank statements has been a massive time saver. We are currently using it to stay on track for a new camera lens to film our home tours. Monarch allows you to separate fixed expenses from flexible spending, so I can see exactly where to adjust our budget so we can reach that goal faster. It syncs with over 13,000 institutions, so the setup is fast and secure. Monarch is private and ad-free and also syncs between the mobile app and the web, so your data is always up to date. You can get 50% off your first year by using the link in our description or by scanning the QR code on screen and using the code ART50. A huge thank you to Monarch for sponsoring this segment. Now let's get back to the tour.
One of the challenges of having an apartment this size is to break up the space with zones, and I did that with furniture and rugs. So for instance, in the entryway, I've got a rug to, greet people and protect the floors from shoes and outdoor things. And you can see my wine rack here, and it's adjacent to my bar. And as people come into my living room, this is a nice place to entertain. This building was built in the early 60s, like around 61 or 62. And when I bought the apartment, it was literally a white box. So one of the things that I wanted to do in the latest redesign of the space was to have a pop of color. And I've always liked contrast walls, and so we chose this slate blue contrast wall, and the door itself is blue as well. And then later on, you'll see behind my bed is another contrast wall. And it just sort of breaks up the boxiness of everything. Initially, I painted it like a muted gray, light gray, and it was very monochromatic, but now I like a little more color in my space. So the rug pulls out some color from the wall. I'm like an art person who likes big dramatic pieces of art versus a gallery wall, so I like to position my art to make a statement. This poster was from an art exhibit I attended in San Francisco. It's got good memories, and we took it and had it mounted and got all the print off of it, so I have a nice piece of art that's also a nice memory of when I lived in San Francisco. One of the things that we did to divide up the space as well is we dropped the ceiling and put this soffit in, which allowed us to put in some recessed lighting, and also made a nice little niche for my furniture. The couch fits very well, and I've got two matching end tables, which kind of give it that mid-century vibe. And this lamp was a found item. I don't know exactly how old it is, but I think it's probably from the early 70s or even the 60s. It's been around for a while, and it's something that I inherited. One of the things that we did too to divide the space is position the chairs here, which kind of frames the living room a little bit. And you can see the rug kind of helps zone it out as well. One of the challenges in an apartment like this is to find apartment-sized furniture, because a lot of the conventional furniture is just too big for a small Manhattan space. But these, I think, give it a nice touch, and they fit in with my mid-century modern aesthetic, and I just like them. Prior to this, I had one of these beautiful big designer coffee tables with a heavy wooden base, and I found it just wasn't practical for entertaining. And what I like about these coffee tables is they're very lightweight and they're nested. So if I have guests and I'm serving drinks or snacks, it's easy to just adjust the table. And also this one is very light, and I can shove it in the corner, and I have a fold-up mattress if I ever have overnight guests. So even in a small space, sometimes you can accommodate overnight company. One of the things I wanted to mention is my friend here. He's a Japanese folk character called Tanuki. If you're interested in Googling, it's Tanuki, and he's basically like a Japanese folk character. He's a mischievous cross between a raccoon and a dog. And if you want to Google and see the little bit of a history of his mischievous actions, but I bought him in a Japanese antique store, and as far as I know, he's about 150 to 200 years old. One of the characters of Tanuki is he usually has a big belly, kind of like the Buddha that you're used to seeing. This is a sake container. Supposedly he roams from village to village and begs for sake, and he's mischievous if he doesn't get what he wants. And in keeping with the Japanese folklore, he always has oversized testicles, if you will, just adding to his mischievous character. He's commonly found in Japan in gardens and outdoor spaces, but here in my New York City apartment, he lives in the corner with me. In keeping with the maximizing storage in a small New York City apartment, we also carried over the recessed ceiling here, which made a nice niche for this wall unit. The wall unit is comprised of components that you can mix and match when you order. It also gives me extra storage for entertaining and things that I might need for day-to-day living. Also, it allows me to display pottery and different things I got in my years of traveling. And some were gifted, some were things that I found myself. And all in all, just a lot of good memories and a different aesthetic of art to look at besides just pictures on the wall. I like three-dimensional art, and I like to be able to display things, and I think that this wall unit fills that nicely. I used to travel to Japan quite a bit as part of my flight attendant job, and some of my pieces of art and all that are not valuable in the sense of like priceless art, but I've got a lot of quirky and fun things. For instance, these are these little Godzilla dolls I bought in a Tokyo department store back in the 80s, and this one is dressed like a little Playboy bunny, and they've got these funny little juxtaposition outfits on that you wouldn't normally associate with Godzilla. And the best part is, and it even breathes fire. Okay, in designing the wall unit, we created a space for my frame TV, and one of my pet peeves in a small space is visible wires. And so this storage unit also hides all the cable components and wiring for the TV and the sound bar. And then these little baskets also give me some extra storage, and they also hide wires from the TV. Even though I'm retired and I don't work from home, I do like having a bona fide office space, just for the day-to-day things a normal person deals with: banking, appointments, planning a vacation. It's just nice to have a central space with my laptop computer. I'm one of the few people that still has a landline. I have a printer here, and I tried to make it look less industrial with some artwork around. And a lot of these personal items are things that I picked up from trips, and just a lot of good memories along the way. And again, I've got this office space here with a swivel chair, and I can actually pull this out and incorporate it into the dining table too. And also, again, more office storage and places for checkbooks and pens and different things that one needs every day. I also have a little charging station here to charge my phone and computer and other things like that. In keeping with the zoning aspect of the apartment, as I mentioned earlier, we placed a rug here to zone the dining area, and this is my dining chair and table, and it's a very unique urban type of table. I can expand it with these leaves that just pop up, and the other side as well, and it expands where I can easily sit 6 to 8 people sometimes. Also, I can set food out if I'm having a cocktail party or whatever, and it's just as nice to have the adjustable size. One of the things that is desirable in any city, and especially in a city like New York, is to have a lot of natural light. And I'm very blessed to have these big windows here, and I'm in relative proximity to Central Park. And because of that, I look right into the top of a big oak tree. And it's really beautiful to watch as it changes through the seasons. And I get a little bit of nature in addition to an urban view. And it's not unusual to sit here and see various birds and different wildlife like squirrels. And one time there was even a big hawk in the tree. It's just a nice way to entertain. And as we're sitting here, we have something nice to look at. So it's one of these places I like to have company, and I like to entertain by the window. One of the nice things I like about this window area, when I first got the apartment, it has a wall air conditioning unit, and at the other end of the window is the radiator and the heating components for the apartment, and they didn't look very nice fully exposed, and so we had this cabinetry custom made. The front panels come off if I need full blast of air conditioning during our hot New York summers, but during the most of the year, it's a nice little extra camouflage of this utilitarian things, and it also gives me a little extra counter space and storage as these panels do come off and access behind them. Okay, this apartment is technically considered an alcove studio, and so as you can see, my bed is in a specific alcove, and it's nice that it's an actual alcove that shuts itself off from the rest of the apartment. And I travel to Japan quite a bit in my work life, and I got this aesthetic of the Japanese type of screen, but done in glass and metal, so that I can close the bedroom off, or the bedroom area off, at will when I'm greeting company or whatever, and then for access, I can just close it. I do like to keep it closed most of the time when I'm home alone, and I think this is almost like an artistic structural piece. One of the things I should mention is I bought my furniture over time, and without even thinking about it, I noticed that the furniture matches, and it wasn't even an intended conscious decision at the time. But if you look at the legs of the table and then look at the frame of my bed, the hardware and the metal pieces actually complement each other like it's a set. And the metal on these glass screens are also the same type of color. So it all coordinates very nicely, even though as I said, I bought everything over time and it was just a happy accident that they all kind of matched. As we walk into the bedroom area, you can see I carried over the contrast wall into this niche as well. This is a movie poster of the iconic Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. For those of you that like old movies and like old Hollywood, Bette Davis and Joan Crawford are iconic movie stars who did this movie in the 60s as they were getting a little older. It fits right in with the age of this building, and it's an all-time camp movie classic for those people who like old movies. Also, this alcove is big enough to where I have room for 2 side tables. The one over there is another little charging station, and this is just a nice little bedside table for reading and alarm clock and just what you would need in a bedroom. One storage hack a lot of people in New York use is storage under the bed, and I'm no exception. This bed is actually a platform style. It doesn't need a box spring. It's on a platform frame, and so underneath the bed is perfect storage for bulk things like bathroom tissue, paper towels, all those things that you need in daily life but you don't necessarily want on display. Right off of my bedroom is this little dressing area, which is a nice transition from the main living space into the bathroom. And this is my little homage to Michigan. As I mentioned earlier, I grew up part of my childhood on a farm in Michigan, and this dresser was gifted to me. I had a friend who was downsizing one time and she just gave it to me. And I think it's a nice little way to show like family pictures. And this is downtown Detroit, so it's a little homage to my roots. Another nice feature of this little dressing area is an additional closet, which gives me plenty of room to store like bedding, towels, various things like that, cleaning supplies. Again, good storage for an apartment this size. And moving on, here's my small New York bathroom. One of the things that I did to make it more convenient for myself is I had the bathtub taken out and just converted it into a walk-in shower. No more climbing in and out of a slippery tub. And especially being retired, I don't want to risk falling and breaking my neck one of these days. And we tiled the bathroom to deal with the humidity of the bathroom, and I don't have to worry now about peeling paint or things like that. And it's just a small, efficient bathroom and easy to maintain and keep clean. As I mentioned, I've lived in this apartment now for 27 going on 28 years, and it's been kind of a journey and an evolution. Like I said earlier, when I got the apartment, it was just a really white box, and it kind of evolved along the way. Just a little personal history for myself. I was in a 22-year-long relationship and married for 10 of it, and my husband passed away 2 years ago. But there was a period where we lived here together, and he also contributed to some of the design ideas, and I just wanted to share that with you as part of my journey of living in New York. And now that I'm a single person again and retired, to me it's the perfect size. It gives me plenty of space to do my day-to-day living. It gives me plenty of space to entertain friends, and it gives me enough to keep clean without having it be an overwhelming exercise in battling New York City's dust. So if I have any advice for somebody who's trying to make sense of a small space or make it more of their own, live in the space for a while. See how you use it, see how the light evolves through the day, see how the furniture patterns, how you use things and whatever, and I think your place will evolve that way and make it more of a unique and personalized home. Come visit us in New York. We're a big tourist city. We love to have people come and support us, and New York is a city of seasons, and some seasons are more favorite to people than others. My particular favorite season here is fall, followed by spring, because we do get extreme heat in the summer and it can get quite cold in the wintertime. However, New York is all about change and movement and pace, and that's what makes it such an interesting and great city to live in. So thank you for touring my apartment. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.
Do you want your space featured on one of our home tours? You can submit it using the link in the description below.